until hours later anyway. So our natural rhythms aren't interrupted. We can eat when we're actually hungry. We can sleep when we're tired. And I'm using the pronoun we because in my family, home education is a complete lifestyle for the whole family. It's not just something that, I sit my kids in a room for 6 hours a day. That's not really how it works. So you have a healthier environment in that way. And a lot of parents are starting to pull their kids out of school because these are the parents that are realizing that something is not right about medicating, and they don't think anything's wrong with their children, and they don't want to medicate their children, so they pull them out of school, and they have them at home without any medications at all. And a lot of parents are finding that this really is the solution to their supposed ADD problems or oppositional defiance disorders or whatever it is. Simply remove them from the environment that's making them behave in these odd ways, and then we don't have these issues anymore. Also, parents whose children are on medications and they're still not doing well are pulling them out of the school system. And I hear case after case of this, where they say after a few weeks, we didn't even need the medication anymore. And then I realized that it was all made up anyway. It was all a farce. It was all a scam. And of course, these parents have, they have come to the point where they've looked at themselves in the mirror and they had to realize that they've done something, but it means that progress is happening. And like we were talking before about that feeling of dread, that feeling of despair, because we're still walking around with one of these two clowns for presidents, we know that this is where the hope lies. Seeing more and more families pull out of the system, and all the people that we've reached, Brett, you and I, that call us up or write and say, you've convinced me, we're not using school. That is where the hope lies, because that means those children are going to grow up healthier, smarter, and able to contribute better things to society on the whole.
Excellent. We're going to talk a little bit more about health, but a different kind of health when we come back in just a minute. School Sucks Live. We'll take your calls, 843. Join SSP.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at
all our bumpers are clipped.
and we'll send you a free
Ian said they all had to be the same length. So they're like shorter, a little bit shorter than they should be. Because some of them, like I just redid all our music beds, Laurette, and it was supposed to be like I used Led Zeppelin for almost every out. What kind of music do you like? What do you listen to?
I like rock, but my absolutely favorite genre is classic rock. I like current rock and kind of alternative stuff, Mumford & Sons type, Coldplay and that type of genre. But my favorite is classic rock, Zeppelin, Doors, classic Beatles.
Yeah, so we did
Crimson and Clover, that kind of thing.
So I did
before I was born.
I did all the bumpers at the most rockingest parts of Led Zeppelin songs. So we would have like 20 seconds, like when they're building up to get out to finish talking, and then right when we finish, they would rock.
Yeah.
But they're clipped, so it's going to take us a while to learn them, I think. But
I used to use for the beginning of Unplugged Mom, I used We Don't Need No Education, and I got bored with that after a while and realized that I don't really jive with that anyway, because I think we do need an education and we're not getting it in school. So
right. Yeah. Yeah, there seemed like I didn't use that song until like I think maybe the 20th episode of the show.
Yeah.
Because I felt like people were like expecting it or something.
Yeah.
So I tried to find, because every single one of my shows had different music in it. So
yeah, you have great music on your show.
I do my best.
You pick really great music. I used Lenka for a while, and I get away with it, but I don't think I'm going to for long. And I used Mumford & Sons a couple of times. And you're not really supposed to, but I got away with it for a while.
Let's. I'm just going to go to the chat a little bit during the break here and see. Paper towel. Paper towel. No problem. Just make sure you leave them out of your shot. Because when we have paper towels in our shots, people watching say,
"What if I like wad them up and put them in a pile?"
I don't know. I think the aesthetics of that are bad. I think people would say,
tuck it into my shirt.
You can tuck a paper towel into your shirt. Yeah. Maybe wouldn't it be funny if we ate lobster on the show one time, or we did a cooking show?
We had a plate of vegetables last week.
Yeah, we did have a vegetable. People commented on it. I just want to see what was in the chat real quick. I just want to see what's going on in the chat. Does what sound like a cult? Rescind? Someone in the chat named Rescind says, doesn't that sound like a cult? Oh, wait a minute.
Does what sound like a cult?
Schools keep kids sleep-deprived, malnourished, and limit physical activity. That's what it means. Doesn't that sound like a cult? Yes, that does make sense.
It could, yeah.
Someone in the chat says, do a cooking show. Low carb.
Ooh, I made a lasagna the other night, but instead of noodles, I used butternut squash.
Whoa.
And it was
I've done
good.
that. I've done that. I've had that. And I've had spaghetti squash and made it just like regular Italian spaghetti. Yep. My grandmother would roll over in a grave, but I love it.
Yeah. I saw a picture on Imager of a lasagna made out of graham crackers and marshmallow and Tootsie Rolls and other kinds of candy.
It doesn't sound good.
No, it sounds disgusting.
So, Laurette, are your people gluten-free as well?
My people? I didn't know I had people. Yeah, I am gluten-free by choice.
Oh, good.
I don't have an allergy or anything. I just decided that it was healthier.
We're coming back.
My family's gluten-free.
I'm muting everything. Hey everybody, this is Brett. Welcome back to School Sucks Live. In the studio with me tonight, I just realized we had been recording this whole show with speakers on. What amateurs. And your mic's not on. It is amateur night.
Oh, okay. There it is.
Oh, jeez. All right, so this is our last segment of Hour 1. Like I said before, we would take some calls, 843-JOIN-SSP. You could Skype in School Sucks Live. I'll try to bring you into the conversation, especially if you have questions for Laurette or about her book, which is what we're building tonight's show around. The title of that book is Don't Do Drugs, Stay Out of School. And Laurette, you said 10% discount for my listeners?
Yes, 10% for your listeners on the paperback or the ebook, whichever they decide. Of course, I will autograph all of the hard copies. So.
Awesome. And I think, you know, one of my favorite books is Underground History of American Education by John Taylor-Gatto. But if you gave it to somebody as an introduction, they would get to page 6, throw it on the ground, and run away crying.
It's very large.
Yeah. So Laurette's book is, it's like 100 pages, I think. Exactly.
100 pages, yeah.
You know, plus a foreword, plus a preface. But very manageable, very not intimidating like Underground History of American Education. Maybe Underground History of American Education would be a good book, too. But I think this provides a really good introduction, something that you could hand to a parent and say, really framing it around what we were talking about in the last segment. How concerned are you about the health of your children? Because even for these most obvious reasons that we've talked about, as far as drugging, the disgusting food, the unnatural sleep cycles, I think there's also a sort of emotional and psychological health that, and really healthy relationships, I would say. Like, how well could a parent really know their child if that child is taken away for 35 hours a week, and then when they get home, they're exhausted and they have to do homework, and they probably would just want like a little bit of privacy. Plus, what kind of attitude are they forming towards what they perceive as authorities? So I think it could strain or even poison what could otherwise be, through home education, a very healthy parent-child relationship, which unfortunately is, and it probably contributes to some of the other problems we talked about at the beginning of the show, relatively rare in our society. And one of the things that has happened really in the last century is parents have become, usually as products of the same system themselves, apologists for school, right? Yeah. So if there is that natural response to a coercive environment, the parent feels obligated to take the side of the coercive environment.
Yes, it's Stockholm Syndrome.
Yeah.
You fall in love with your punisher.
Do you try to counsel people on this at all? Does anyone ever ask you for advice on this stuff, or like?
Personally, yeah, I have not offered that professionally, only because I can't possibly fit that into my schedule right now. But among my friends and sometimes somebody will email and I'll get into it a little bit as much as I can. But yes, that does happen where there'll be this vehement defense of the school system. And sometimes I think that they're making an excuse for themselves. Like we talked about before, they want to clear their own conscience. Like somewhere deep inside, they know that the school system is not healthy. Their child isn't really thriving within the school environment, but they want to make excuses and they want to clear their own conscience. So they'll defend it and say, oh, but they have a great sports program. Oh, but they have a great math program, or whatever other excuse there is. The most common one, and I do cover this in the book as well, is, well, most people turn out okay. So what's the problem? But I always invite people to take a deeper look at that and say, well, how are we defining okay? What is okay? And I want to go back to something you mentioned before, Brett, and let's really break this down as far as the harm that it does to a child's health, physically, mentally, spiritually, all three aspects of what makes a person a whole person. It really works on all the three of those aspects. And a lot of it is done on purpose. Just for instance, the drugs. You're putting a child as young as 4 or 5, 6 years old, 4 years old, okay, with diagnosis of depression. Think about that. A 4-year-old with depression, being diagnosed with depression and being put on some kind of medication that is going to alter their brain chemistry. Now they have to stay on this medication. Or you have 8 or 9-year-olds being put on oppositional defiance disorder medication because they are oppositional, because they are challenging their teacher. Maybe they're bored. Maybe they are smart, which most people are born with an ability to be educated or an ability to learn or educate themselves, and that's suppressed later on. But at 8, 9 years old, it's still there, it's still present, it's still natural, and they're bored to tears in school because the teacher has to teach the medium. The teacher has to teach to the whole class. And if some of the kids are slower, we have to dumb it down a little bit. And again, they're learning contrived information. So the kid that's bored to death and is doodling and looking out the window and not paying attention, well, that kid's being oppositional. Or the kid that has a problem with something the teacher said and said, wait a minute, I don't understand. And says, you just said so-and-so and now, and that kid, oh, well, now you're being contrary. So we don't want to teach them to challenge authority. We want to teach them to conform and be obedient and just submit to authority because they're supposed to be subjugated. We're supposed to feel that. So now this child is put on medication. What it teaches them is that they can't exist without medication. The child is being told there's something wrong with you and you cannot handle your own emotions or your own feelings without medication. If you challenge authority, there's something wrong with you. If you are curious about something, there's something wrong with you. If you are too smart and that's what is making you bored in class, there's something wrong with you. So you have to just slow yourself down. Now this child gets to be 14, 15 years old and hormones are going strong and they're a teenager and things are happening to their body and they're feeling a little emotional and they're thinking, well, something must be wrong with me. In comes illegal drugs. And now we can have a whole other political discussion about whether it should be illegal. But the point is, in comes more hardcore street dangerous drugs that can be very dangerous for them.
Right.
And they think this is perfectly normal because, hey, I need drugs to handle my own life. Right. So they're mentally disturbed, they're physically unhealthy, and they're completely emotionally unbalanced. And it has also taught them that challenging any kind of authority is wrong. So they comply and they submit and voila, programming.
Yeah, at some point in the book, it was interesting, and it's kind of haunting too that you asked this question: will this idea, this fear that you're talking about in people, will the entire system or structure crumble if compulsory schooling went away?
Yeah,
and I think a lot of times when people get trapped into these fear-based this fear-based retaliation from other people, they say, whoa, wait a minute. No, nothing's going to collapse. It'll be okay. We could do this. We could do that. And the next sentence in the book was, maybe it will. But when you think about how entirely unhealthy almost every aspect of our society is, and that's okay and fine, this schooling system and the standard practices, I think, sadly, in parenting, prop everything else up. So,
well, Brett, it's like looking at a building and saying, well, this building is not structurally sound. It's dangerous. It's infested with rats. There's poison in there. The roof is going to cave in. Beams are falling down. Nobody can go near it. It's very dangerous. So someone comes along and suggests, okay, well, let it crumble, bulldoze the thing. And it's like people panic and saying, oh, no. We can't do that. What would we do? The building would exist. And it's like, but it's not working. So it really is this strange fear that people have. What will happen to all the children? But think about it. You know where that fear is coming from, because that's what they're asking. And people will even say, Brett, well, we know that it's terrible because it's mainstream news. Everybody knows that the American school system is just not doing well.
Yeah.
I mean, children are graduating. They can't read. So what you and I know and what you and I talk about is we're taking it to a deeper level, and we're asking people to take an even deeper look at the compliance issues and the psychotic issues. And I know you talked about psychosis on one of your shows. We're talking about that. But even on just the surface level, even on just like, the Chris Matthews level,
right.
We know that the schools aren't really doing so good academically anyway. And yet when we talk about changing it or we talk about pulling children out of school, people like wig out. They start going, oh, what will happen to all the children? Oh my God, everything's going to collapse. And you're thinking, wow, we have really grown dependent on this system as a society. It really has become the backbone of our existence. And I'm trying to make people understand it's the bane of our existence, what it really is. But people are panicking, Brett, not because they're afraid their children aren't going to learn. They need a babysitter.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, too, and to complicate your analogy just a little bit, there are some huge beneficiaries of this crumbling building infested with poison and rats. And we'll touch on that a little bit when we get back in hour 2. You can join us, 843-JOIN-SSP, School Sucks Live, if you want to Skype us. We'll be back in about 8 minutes. We've got a lot more to talk about with Laurette Lynn. This is School Sucks Live.
Free Press Publications.
Okay, so we're on... If you want to get up and stretch or you've got anything you need to do, Laurette, we're on an 8-minute break.
Okay, I think I might do that. I don't think we mentioned, and this might be helpful if anybody wants to utilize the 10% discount. The coupon code is SSP, and they can get it from LauretteLynn.com.
Okay.
Because they need the coupon code to get the 10% discount. So,
who is calling me? Hold on one second.
Yep.
Hello? Yeah. Hey, Ian. How you doing?
Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons. DVD, books, music, instruments, period.
Let's see. Things look good. Can you describe the problem to me again?
Grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.lrn.fm. Get all your shopping done. Get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit the Liberty Radio Network. When you shop at Amazon via shop.lrn.fm.
Yeah, let me check. It was only in the last segment?
Networking organization. At FreeAid, we support volunteers who provide first aid. We do outreach to the public about health and safety, and we bring together medically skilled freedom lovers. FreeAid is made possible by your generous support.
Check.
Others can receive
Yeah.
gifts like first aid kits, t-shirts, silver dime.
Oh, man. I hope that didn't come through in all of our recordings. Hey, can somebody in the chat... Sorry, I still have an open mic here on the UStream. Can someone in the chat confirm that our sound has been okay in the show so far? All right. If that was the problem, Ian, I assume it's resolved.
I'm Jess Burns with headlines for FSRN. China's government is undergoing a transition of power this week as Communist Party elite meet in Beijing to select their new leadership.
All right. I'm talking right now. Can you hear me?
Outgoing President Hu Jintao warning the party about the pitfalls
Well,
of corruption and setting
are you...
its own turning the country into a maritime power.
Oh, I don't know.
Jinping is slated to take over.
Let me...
The Congress opens as at least 5
Let me check the
Tibetans
chat.
have self-immolated in the past 2 days in protest of Chinese rule.
The people who are listening on UStream say it's been fine. Did you get my text about the problem with the mumble connection. Could that be it? No, no. It seems like it's fine now. I really don't understand the sound setup here, but like in Dale's control panel, you have like line 1/2 or line 1/2, line 3/4. There's a multi-channel. So there's three things there, and a microphone, a USB. Yeah. No, what's selected as the input sound is USB audio codec. I have no idea. I don't, no one since Jay or Boner Joe left. There's no one here who knows how any of this stuff works. So that's kind of a problem. But
international pressure is increasing as more than 650 Kurdish prisoners continue to refuse food. They are subsisting on vitamins, sugar, and water. Prisoners connected to the outlawed Kurdistan Workers' Party.
No, yeah, there was. It's off. I disabled it. It was a. I plugged in a webcam so Laurette can see me on one computer, and I didn't think.
The Turkish Republic doesn't recognize its ethnic minorities. Kurds, who unofficially comprise close to a fifth of the population, are denied language and cultural rights. This week, Turkey's justice minister announced that a draft law allowing the Kurdish language in courts would be sent to lawmakers as soon as the prime minister returns from a trip to Indonesia.
Connection type. I don't see that. Is it in settings?
Doctors have warned the health of the striking inmates is deteriorating rapidly. Jacob Resnick, FSRN, Istanbul.
International election observers from the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe were in the U.S. on election
Voice activity.
In preliminary findings released
Okay, I'm applying that. Yeah, and now I see the meter. Yeah.
But not immune to criticism. From D.C., FSRN's Michael.
Yes, it is moving.
Over 6 weeks, 44 observers went to 40 different locations throughout the U.S. on behalf of the OSCE's Office of Democratic Institutions and Human Rights. They focused on voter rights and registration campaigns.
Yeah, Laurette, can I hear you talk for a second?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep, it moves for her too.
Voters are not registered, and that nearly 6 million
Yep.
citizens were disenfranchised because of a criminal conviction, including 2.6
Okay.
million who have served their sentence.
All right, I'm talking to you.
With the group's principle of universal suffrage.
Then it's something more. I don't know what it is, Ian. There's it could be a number of things. There's a lot of variables here that I don't fully understand. Nope, they're open.
International organizations monitoring efforts were met with resistance from officials in Texas and Iowa.
It says default device is the device, but I have microphone, which is I have multi-channel, monitor, line 3/4, line 1/2, and microphone, 2 USB audio codec. Okay, I'm applying that. Okay, and it's still. Laurette, can I hear you talk again?
Yeah. Laurette Lynn. I'm here with Brett.
Yeah, I'm talking now, Ian.
Do you have it okay, Brett?